Good evening, everybody. What's going on? Sorry, run a couple minutes late tonight, but you know what? Got to make an entrance. You got to sometimes keep them wanting, give them a few extra minutes, just work your way in, and then boom, there they are. So what's going on tonight, guys? I am Ace, host of American Fire. We are going to go through it tonight. I have all kinds of stuff to show you, especially it looks like Trump is back on offense, and I am excited because this is where Trump is at his best. He's going after it. Great interview today. We're going to break down some of the things he said in that I think are very important. He was at a rally tonight in Pennsylvania. We're going to go through that as well. All kinds of interesting things, and Trump is giving us all kinds of insights into who the real enemy is here, folks. And I got to say, if you're European leaders, you better be on your guard because Trump's coming for you. He's calling you out. So get ready for that. We're going to break all that down. And then I will finish. I want this to end. But towards the end, we're going to go through the latest Candace Owens craziness, guys. It is nuts. I got to cover it because not only is it interesting, it is important, but it seems to be reaching an apex, so we'll cover that towards the end as well. But the most important stuff is what's going on with Trump. So that is where we're going to start it off tonight. And but first, before we get going, guys, please hit that like, hit that subscribe. I appreciate it. If you're on X, hit that repost. Thank you so much. I can't see your comments, but I'll try to get to you later if you have any. And let me get into the chat. Lots of people in here, guys. What is going on? Who started tonight? Moody. What's up, Moody? How we doing? Alana Gajanian, R. Will, Frank Anastasio, Kim Wiley. How we doing? You missed last night? Yeah, last night was a banger. We got real deep into the Tim Pool Candace Owens beef. It goes deep. And then if anybody saw my video today, let me know what you thought about giving a little deep dive on Candace Owens, her background, and all the things that just are huge red flags about her going back 10 plus years. Let me know what you think about that. I'd love to know your thoughts. Stephanie Bridges, how are we tonight? Cass Sink, Pat M, Scott Volkovich, US1 Tahoe, Steve Bernard, Girth Mike's in the house, Toe Cramp, what's up? Linda Telly, Jodeci, get that Trump vodka. I'm in. Miami, what's going on? Mike Mishler's here. Nick Majors, how we doing? Jack Hamilton, all right. Have a great night, my friend. Bears first, what's up? Barefoot DC, Kathy, JC Cool. I'm here. I didn't get a cold one tonight. I got a sparkly bubbly, though. Keep it fresh. Sarah Gibson, what's going on? Portfolio tripled in 10 years. Wow, good for you. Golden age. I'm here for it. He's risen. What's going on? Just Mike. Shogun's in the house. And Mike Mishler. Did Tatum do a breakdown on Fuentes? I might have to watch that. I don't always watch Tatum's stuff, so why watch here, guys? If you're new here, this is the show. We break it all down. I give you the news before the news. Just had it last night again. I mean, as Tim was going on with all the stuff about Candace and MAGA, it was like he'd listen to me. He was just spewing it one after the other, point after point, just stuff I'd said weeks ago, which, obviously he's not watching me. He's much, much bigger. But just to say, I get some good hits, right? I hit it sometimes. So if you're new here, we like to say I hit the politics, the predictions with 97.3% accuracy, which is why the people keep coming back. That, or I'm funny looking. I haven't quite figured it out, but I hope it's the prediction part, or at least that's part of it. So, all right, let's break it down tonight, friends, because lots to get to. Trump had this interview with Politico, of all places. Politico is kind of terrible, just to be honest. They are Trump haters, leftist rag, but every once in a while they get something good. That's why they have any coverage out there at all. And Trump, I don't know how they sucked him in, but they did, and they got him to do a 45-minute interview. And I got to tell you, I think he shocked a lot of people. This morning in the early news shows, there was a lot of news coming out of this interview. A lot, because the deep state is rattled. I'm telling you this right now. I listened to some of the stuff in the morning, some of the guys who have deep DC connections, like WWIII with Mark on there, or Sean and Dan, Sean Spicer. I like to listen to those morning shows. I can't always listen to them all the way because they drone on and on and on. They get a little boring, especially Mark Halperin. But overall, good information. And Mark is tapped into the Uniparty. He knows them, and he might even be one of them. He does a good job of pretending to be unbiased. I like him in general because his reporting is usually pretty solid. But this morning, this is all they were talking about. And I can tell when, the best way to know what's cutting across to the Beltway, the Uniparty, the guys who've been embedded for years, the establishment types, is to listen to their shows. It's just the truth. And because you hear the frustration in their voice, the fear in their voice, the gobsmacked just feeling of what Trump says. And this is a big one today. And I know most people won't have watched this, and that's okay. This probably didn't even make it to most mainstream outlets. And that's why you guys have me, so I could thumb through it and bring the highlights. So this is a long clip where Trump is talking a lot about Zelensky, the Russia-Ukraine war, and then says a lot of interesting stuff about Europe, the kind of stuff that puts a lot of fear into the hearts of deep staters. So I'm going to walk through this clip. I'm going to pause at certain points to inject some commentary, but I want you guys to hear everything he's talking about here because it's important, and I don't think you're going to get this in many other places.
Issues in Europe right now is the war between Russia and Ukraine. Your team has been going back and forth.
I wouldn't say one. I would say the most.
The most. You're right.
All right. Already. Here, right there, his first comment. This is not one of the most important issues going on. It's the most important issue when he's talking about anything foreign policy. That right there tells you where Trump's thinking. And why is it the most? Because this is the globalists, the deep state, their attempt at World War III, which their attempt to get into World War III is their last-ditch effort to put America back into submission. Trump knows this. This is why this whole war is so important.
Your team has been going back and forth between Putin and Zelensky with various drafts of a peace deal. Which country right now is in the stronger negotiating position?
Well, there can be no question about it. It's Russia. It's a much bigger country. It's a war that should have never happened. Frankly, it wouldn't have happened if I were president, and it didn't happen for 4 years. I watched that taking place, and I said, wow, they're going to cause some problems here. And it started, and it could have evolved into World War III, frankly. I think it's...
There it is, the World War III drop. He's not... Trump... When you just listen to Trump talk, and this is one of the things that the other side loves to do, always want you to believe he's stupid because he's got that New Yorker talk that's kind of like the rough on the street Bronx type, but that's not how they talk in their fancy schools, and they all talk a certain way, this elitist way. Trump doesn't speak like that, and so they like to act like he's dumb and just randomly says stuff. But Scott Adams, who the study of persuasion, hypnotism, he talks about, and he called it back in 2016, that Trump's one of the most persuasive people he's ever seen. He calls him a master persuader. His book, Win Bigly, is all about this. It's fantastic if you guys want to know how to really get communication across, learn the best way to communicate to people. And it's not what you think. A lot of people think it's about speaking perfectly. No. It's about repetition, kind of hypnotizing people into hearing you, about pinging people's emotions. There's a whole lot to it. And Trump does it masterfully. So when he drops something, Trump is actually a communicative genius. He wants you to hear that. World War III is a wild term. People hear it, they feel fear, they feel interest. It's a bombshell term, but Trump never drops it on accident. And then he just dropped it right here. So, because he's also communicating, Trump double communicates a lot. He communicates to the people who really paying attention, and then he communicates just to the people who are just watching him, don't really know what's going on, and just to make points that stick. So there's a lot going on every time Trump speaks, but speaking about Russia, Ukraine, always bringing up World War III, that's not hyperbole. He really means that's what they're trying to get to.
Probably not going to be happening now. I think if I weren't president, you could have had World War III. I think you would have had a much bigger problem than you have right now.
See, you just said again.
It's a big problem. It's a big problem for Europe, and they're not handling it well.
Last night you said that you weren't sure if President Zelensky was fine with the most recent proposal, that he isn't ready. I was hearing from your advisors around Thanksgiving that they thought this thing might be wrapped up by the end of the holiday, but it's still not done. Is Zelensky responsible for the stalled progress, or what's going on there?
Well, he's got to read the proposal. He hasn't read it yet.
The most recent draft.
That's as of yesterday. And maybe he's read it over the night. It would be nice if he would read it. A lot of people are dying. So
you hear the disdain in Trump's voice as he speaks about Zelensky. He cannot stand Zelensky. He knows he's a puppet. He knows he's basically whatever Europe, the EU wants Zelensky to be, is what Zelensky is. And so Trump constantly belittles Zelensky, constantly makes him seem like the little man that Trump actually knows he is. Well, what's the mainstream media trying to do? The Democratic Party talk about Zelensky as if he's some grand hero. And we see this propaganda pushed all over the place. Zelensky's a fighter for the people. He's a hero. No, he was the stooge planted there by the globalists under the Obama administration in 2014, after they ran a color revolution that Joe Biden was a big part of running as vice president from afar. Remember the phone call, like, fire the prosecutor, you're not going to get any money. I mean, that was a call to Ukraine. Biden all over that. Biden bragging about that call. So this was their little stooge country. And once Putin knows this, Trump comes in, Trump leaves in 2020 or 2021 after the 2020 election, and immediately Putin goes into Ukraine. I don't know. I mean, you do your own deduction on why. I think we have a pretty good reason why. He knew that if Ukraine wasn't stopped, what was going on in Ukraine, it was going to bleed over into Russia. They were going to keep encroaching and really gin up to World War III, and Putin jumped in ahead of time. I believe Trump knows this. Some people believe Trump and Putin are working together. I don't know. I can't say for sure, but I can tell you that Trump really doesn't believe Putin is a threat. He really believes Putin just wants to be left alone, and we can open up stuff with Russia. But Zelensky is in the way. He's the face of it. But the real people in the way are the puppeteers, the City of London, globalist elites running the EU and trying to keep this facade financial globalist machine they've been enslaving us in, or trying to enslave us in for the last several decades. They're trying to keep that going. This is their last-ditch effort. And Trump keeps putting Zelensky on blast because he's the face of it. So every time Trump says Zelensky, basically just think of him as the shadow cabal. He's just the face of it right now. And Trump is pissed. It
would be really good if he'd read it. His people loved the proposal. They really liked it. His lieutenants, his top people, they liked it. But they said he hasn't read it yet. I think he should find time to read it.
Is it time for Ukraine to hold an election, do you think?
Yeah, I think so. It's been a long time. It hasn't been doing particularly well. Yeah, I think it's time. I think it's an important time to hold an election. They're using war not to hold an election, but I would.
They use the war not to hold the election. That's Trump basically just called Zelensky a dictator. He basically just put him on the spot, saying this is no longer a democracy. And again, to the regular people watching this is powerful because they're going to be thinking to themselves, why the heck were we helping this country? Why the heck are we in there? This is Trump on offense again. You know, the last few weeks we've been seeing Trump deflecting a lot of stuff, things going bad, things being hard, constant attack on Trump, all the noise right now. The midterms are getting out of our grasp. There's an election tonight in Miami. It went Democrat for the first time in 30 years. Everybody's freaking out about that. It's just nonstop barrage to make us all think that Trump and the administration, whatever's going on in this second term, is basically over and done with. They lost. It's falling apart. He's about to enter into lame duck time. And now Trump is back going on offense. This is why he did this interview today. It's why he did the rally today. It's all at the same point. And as you keep hearing what he says, there's no way to take it any other way. I mean, he is going for the jugular here and putting it on blast so people can be disgusted with everything else but him. He's establishing himself as the person of common sense. Why would we do this? Why would we work with somebody who won't hold elections? Why would we support this corrupt country? That's what people are going to hear when he says stuff like they haven't had elections. They use the war to ward off elections. So again, just listen to what he's saying. It's very important.
I think the Ukrainian people would, should have that choice, and maybe Zelensky would win. I don't know who would win, but they haven't had an election in a long time. They talk about a democracy, but it gets to a point where it's not a democracy anymore.
On Sunday, your son, Donald Trump Jr., responded to a reporter's question about whether you will, quote, walk away from Ukraine. And your son said, I think he may. Is that correct?
No, it's not correct, but it's not exactly wrong. We have to, they have to play ball if they don't read agreements. Potential agreements. It's not easy with Russia because Russia has the upper hand, and they always did. They're much bigger, they're much stronger in that sense. I give Ukraine a lot of. I give the people of Ukraine.
You know why Trump keeps saying Russia has the upper hand, telling everybody that Russia's larger? He always talks favorable of Russia like that. He's preparing everybody to accept the Ukraine loss. That's all he's doing right there. He keeps saying it. He's basically letting everybody know there's no hope for Ukraine. There's no hope at all. What are we even doing here? We're not interested in helping them win. We're not interested in fighting Russia. Russia's going to win. So just be ready for that. Accept it. And that's a message not just to the American people, because the American people don't care at this point. We're done. We just went out. But there's a message to the globalists, like, good luck. You're not going to be able to do this.
And the military of Ukraine, tremendous credit for the bravery and for the fighting and all of that. But at some point, size will win generally, and this is a massive size. You take a look at the numbers. I mean, the numbers are just crazy. This is not a war that should have happened. This is a war that would have never happened if I were president. It's so sad.
Ahead a little bit
millions of people in Kiev and other places. But what a sad thing for humanity. This doesn't affect us. Our country is no longer paying any money. It was just Biden gave him $350 billion so stupidly. And
I want to skip ahead a little bit more to where he gets stuck in about Europe.
Between Putin and Zelensky is tremendous.
And you're right, you're not spending money, but you sir are spending your time and your energy on this.
I want to stop saving, I want to stop seeing people killed.
If this deal, if Zelensky rejects this deal, is there a timeline? Is there a point at which you say, okay?
Well, he's going to have to get on the ball and start accepting things. When you're losing, because you're losing.
Do you think Ukraine has lost this war?
Well, they've lost territory long before I got here. They lost a whole strip of.
So Zelensky just came out today and turned down the option of giving up any land. And so this is why they're going on. Anyways, I'm going to skip ahead. This is not as important as the beginning part or where he's going to get to the European stuff. Hold on here.
All of them. I mean, I like all of them. I have no real enemy. I've had a couple.
Okay, here's where I want to get started on
well,
Europe.
Is that
then
realistic in your view?
I mean, look, then they should support it. Europe I'm friendly with all of them. I mean, I like all of them. I have no real enemy. I've had a couple that I didn't like over the years. I actually like the current crew. I like them a lot. But and I know them very well. I know them really well. Some are friends, some are okay. I know the good leaders, I know the bad leaders, I know the smart ones, I know the stupid ones. You get some real stupid ones too. But They're not doing a good job. Europe is not doing a good job in many ways. They're not doing a good job.
I want to ask
They
you
talk
about
too
that.
much, and they're not producing. We're talking about Ukraine. They talk, but they don't produce. And the war just keeps going on and on. I mean, 4 years now it's been going on, long before I got here. This is not my war. This is Joe Biden.
This is Trump telling us it's hopeless. Okay, let me get back into here. We have another part we're going to get where he really goes on to Europe. But this is important stuff, okay? This is at the point where Trump's bringing about the end of this, and he's letting him know, like, your time's up, okay? We're done. And this last push they're making, okay, this is an option to get out peacefully. Okay, he's pushing Zelensky, he's pushing Russia. We have this peace deal on, and it's basically, Zelensky, you do this or you're screwed. And what he's going to do is we're going to pull all support. It's going to happen in the next few weeks unless this breaks through. They have a chance to get out of this in a way that leaves somewhat of Ukraine. Zelensky will be out. The new government will come in. They'll give them kind of an option of like peacefully settling. Russia's going to get most of what they want. This is how we can open it up with Russia. Now, the deep state, the globalist types, they're terrified of that, because if Russia and America unite, it's game over for them. They're Dunsky forever. The only thing that's kept the globalists going this far, this long, is the fact that they've had this hold over America. And they've kept demonizing Russia. And don't get me wrong, the Soviet Union was bad. But Russia of the last 25 years hasn't been bad. It's not what they've told us. And we're learning that more all the time. I was listening to a show the other day where this guy was on, and he was just saying how Russia's our great enemy, and it's been our great enemy forever. And it's like, how can they be our great enemy? We haven't had a fight with Russia in forever. They've had no threat to us. They're not a threat to us economically. They're not a threat to us militarily anymore. I mean, this is nonsense. It's absolute nonsense. And Trump's trying to normalize this thought because he's unwinding decades of us being programmed. We all were programmed with this. Think about all the movies we've watched over the last 30 years, Russia being the bad guys, Russia being the terrorists, the bringing out the Cold War movies. I grew up, and now, yes, I was born in the Reagan era, and so there was still a Soviet Union, but they still were making the Russians the bad guys in the early 2000s movies. I mean, there was all kinds of war movies. You guys remember all the war movies that came out after 9/11? And then after a couple years, it became not politically correct to have Islamists as the bad guys, so they started using Russians again. I mean, come on, we've all been programmed. Russia hasn't done anything to hurt us in decades. They've just been wanted to be left alone. They're one of the most sovereign nations on earth because they have some of the least amount of alliances, because they've just been pushed out of everything. They've been Europe's been hating on them forever. The UK has hated Russia since the early 1800s. This goes back 300 years almost with EU, UK. It's just Russia's always been a threat. I mean, think about all the culture we've missed out on because of all this fighting with Russia over the last 100 years. Russia used to be a great ally of ours. They helped us in the Revolutionary War a little bit. They definitely helped us during the Civil War. Russia was, I think they helped us in the War of 1812, just against England when England came back and invaded us. I mean, Russia has been a good friend to us until the Soviet Union, that started in the 50s. And so we had a blip of about 40 years where Russia was an enemy of ours. And before that, we were allies. We need to go back to that. And yeah, it's not defending Putin as a person. It's just recognizing where we're actually at. And this, I haven't been on this topic as much lately because it's been pure American politics lately. Pure American politics and the impact of what's going on in the movement, the influencers, all that. A lot of Candace Owens nonsense, which I hate doing, but I have to cover. It's done a lot of that. But, when she asks in this, Dana, what's her name? Dana Bash or something. When she asks him, you've been spending a lot of time overseas. That's their narrative right now, that they're running for the midterms. See, the left right now is trying to convince all the people, and it is working. It is working. It's trying to convince the people that that Trump isn't interested in anything here at home. He's not make America first. He's Israel first. He's gallivanting across the world first. And so that's why she asked the question the way she asked it. But here's the problem, and this is what we need to understand, and we need to communicate to our people, especially the young people, that if the foreign policy stuff doesn't get fixed, if he doesn't get us out of these wars and end like the reach of the globalists, break these trade deals, break their economic influence over us, if he doesn't do that, it's whatever happens here is not going to matter as much, because it'll all just, that influence will still be there. We'll still get our wealth sucked out from us. We'll still be bled dry. And once Trump's gone, or we say after JD Vance, or somehow they off JD Vance, and we don't get another Trump, it all goes back. Trump's setting up generational change that they won't be able to undo. That would take them generations to do. We're in the fix-it point right now, and it's taking a while. It's going to take a while. The damage is so deep in our country. It's so deep from these enemies that have been siphoning from us and just taking our wealth, and setting us up to just not be the great nation we were anymore, trying to turn us into one of them, which is, if you look at Europe right now, it's basically a nation after nation of indentured servants. These people pay 60% of their checks in taxes, and they're guaranteed a little home and enough food. They're guaranteed crappy health care, and they're given and that's their freedom. It's their freedom because it's their rights. They're guaranteed a month of vacation every year or more. They're guaranteed early retirement. And that's what they're giving in exchange for their freedoms. And in UK right now, people are being jailed for saying the word faggot. It's for 6 months, a woman just went to jail for that. You can't call out an immigrant problem. Little girls, 12-year-olds, 10-year-olds are being raped by the thousands in the UK, and they won't stop it because they can't be. It want to be woke to call out the races perpetrating these crimes. In Germany, the speech laws are insane. There's no free speech. There's no freedom. They're just indentured servants now. And that's what was going to come here. That's what was the point of COVID. They wanted to do that because once they broke us, there was no other hope. They would control everything. They'd get to use us however they wanted to. They keep us under wraps. They went all out and they failed, but they're not done. They're not done trying. They have backup plans. World War III is one of their backup plans. That's about to end. But Trump, if you notice what he's doing, he's breaking all the economic ties with them. He's making it so they will all just be, they're going to be cut off. And they're going to have to stand on their own 2 feet. And you know what that's going to do? Once all these countries realize the only reason they were able to keep these good times rolling, that the people were able to keep their stuff and their rights to whatever it was, their crappy little houses. I mean, have you seen those little houses in England where they live or whatever? It's like, dude, you guys have no land. You're it's like they're like in boxes with each other. It's like the entire country is San Francisco. It's insane. And I know it's not completely true out in the countryside and stuff, but there's not that many people out there anymore. London is basically the UK, London and a few other cities, smaller cities, much smaller cities. But the point is that they wanted that. That's their experiment. They started there. They started taking it there because the Europeans were much more willing to give up their rights. They were so destroyed after World War II that they were just like, whatever it takes to for security and peace. That's all we care about. So they started giving up their rights, and it's just been going downhill ever since. And they never had the rights to start with that we had in America. We are the antidote to that. We are the antidote to tyranny. We are the antidote to communism. We're the antidote to despotism. It's all here. And our Constitution has kept us strong through that. And it's why it's taken decades of infiltration in order to even get us as far as they got us. They had to convince generation after generation in college that we were actually the evil ones. They had to convince everybody that capitalism was actually terrible because some people didn't have everything they wanted. Oh God, that's so awful, So take from the rich guy, take from the guy actually working. This is what's been beat into our heads over and over and over again for decades. And we were just starting to get to the point where they would have succeeded. And then Trump. And I mean, most of you guys know this story already. But what I don't hear being said enough is that even though so many people get that part, they don't understand why he's doing what he's doing now and why he's been overseas so much and why he's putting an end to it. The domestic policy, I read this great post today that was breaking down the One Big Beautiful Bill and how the One Big Beautiful Bill was actually about 30 bills in one. And, we do this stupid thing in our Senate because of the filibuster where we allow one bill a year that has to be done, has to do with the budget, to be passed without filibuster. That's it. They get one a year, one every fiscal year. It's insane, but that's how they do it. And so what they did is they put everything together, as much as they could get of Trump's entire second term agenda in one bill. And like this guy was saying, it's like 30 bills in one. And that's it. And that's why it feels like Congress hasn't been doing anything. I mean, for one, yes, they are feckless. Let's be honest. They are terrible. But two, they've already got so much done in one. It was a miracle that bill got passed, and it supercharged everything economically he wants to do and everything he wanted to do with the border and immigration. And now it's just going to take time for that to seed through. And the rest of it is going to be what he's doing, which is breaking stuff down on the justice side, fixing the foreign policy stuff. All that is coming, and it's all going to take time. But the economic stuff is just now it's little fixes here and there. Put a Band-Aid here, put a boost this here, turn this down here. He's like the captain who got this big ship, and now he's just slowly steering it to the right places. That's what's going on with our economy. And yes, it's taking people a little while to catch on to that because they wanted to see constant action, constant bills being passed. But that's not what happened. Trump did even better. He got through in One Big Beautiful Bill. But that is hard to communicate, and it's been communicated terribly. It really has. They haven't been touting this. They haven't been educating the people. And this is why the polls are suffering right now, because what's constantly in the news, and there is a reason for this, is the foreign policy stuff. And the reason is the people in media in the Democratic Party and the rhinos and the Uniparty, they're not super smart, but they are clever. And they know that Trump's whole platform was America First MAGA, make America great again. Okay. Which, to be honest, that doesn't completely mean America. Well, it's America first, not America only. Let me put it that way. To make America great again, you have to have foreign policy. But they are focusing on it for a reason. They're trying to wear everybody down, and it's working. It's not completely working, but it's working enough. Now Trump's approval is starting to tick back up, but the Republicans are in a bad place right now. But that's not altogether bad, because we want them to be exposed. We want the people like Marjorie Taylor Greene to show who they really are and cut out. We want that because it's the only hope we have of getting a real Congress. Congress is actually supposed to be more powerful than the president. They are Article 1, but they've chosen over the last 100, 150 years, mostly starting with Lincoln, in the Civil War, Congress has held back and allowed itself to get weaker and weaker as the presidency got stronger and stronger. There's definitely benefits to that, but there's also downsides to that. And Congress has forsaken its duty. It's Article 1. It was supposed to be a representative government. Article 2 is the president. The need for swift action in foreign democracy or foreign entanglements and emergencies. That's the president, someone who can set a legislative agenda from one person that Congress can then therefore deal with. That was our design. Well, the design is broken and it doesn't get fixed immediately after 150 years of breaking down. It doesn't. And what's amazing is our Constitution in general is held up during this time. But listen, there's going to be a lot of things that aren't what strict constitutionalists want, and that's going to perturb the conservative side of things. There's going to be a lot because they have fought dirty for so long. The only way to win is to bend the rules a little bit. And that's what Trump's doing. That's why some people, even on the right, can't stand him. But again, the push is foreign policy wise. The news wants to keep convincing everybody that Trump is actually not fighting for America. He's more interested in what's overseas or making his own fortune great again. All this nonsense that just, it breaks down really easily once you understand what's going on. And that's why we got to talk about it tonight. But again, you got to realize we have inner enemies, a lot of them, but the people pulling those strings, it goes back to a lot of it, like the EU. And circling back now, Trump, this is a shorter clip than the other one I was playing, but this is really important right here, what he says about Europe. So let me play this, and I want you guys to listen carefully.
He's really gotten right is the immigration because he allows nobody in his country. And Poland has done a very good job in that respect too. Mm. But most European nations, they're decaying. They're decaying.
You can imagine some leaders in Europe are a little freaked out by what your posture is, and European.
No, they should be freaked out by what they're doing to their countries. They're destroying their countries.
Well, European Council
and
President.
they're people I like. Look, they're people I like. I get along with them. You know that. But they can't let this happen. And it gets to a point where you can't really correct it. There'll be a point, and it's very close to that point.
And what will that mean?
It will mean that they're no longer going to be strong nations.
Does that mean they won't be allies
or
anymore?
They'll be, well, it depends, it depends. They'll change their ideology, obviously, because the people coming in have a totally different ideology. But it's going to make them much weaker. They'll be much weaker, and they'll be much different.
And what will that mean for our relationship
look at
with
your mayor
them?
of London. He's a disaster. He's a disaster. He's got a totally different ideology of what he's supposed to have. And he gets elected because so many people have come in and they vote for him now because, it's like, it's one of those things. But I hate what's happened to London, and I hate what's happened to Paris. I hate when I see it.
Sir, it's sometimes hard to tell when you say these things. Do you intend to send kind of a message of tough love to our allies to push them to make reforms? Or do you think that many of them are just weak and you don't really want to be allies with them?
I think they're weak, but I also think that they want to be so politically correct. I think they don't know what to do. Europe doesn't know what to do. They don't know what to do on trade either. I mean, I look at a lot of the trade, situation that's going on over there. It's a little bit dangerous, but Europe, they want to be politically correct, and it makes them weak. That's what makes them weak.
It sounds like you want to see some pretty massive changes.
Well, I think they
Europe.
should get the people out that came into the country illegally.
I want to ask about NATO.
If you take a look at Sweden, so Sweden was known as the safest country in Europe, one of the safest countries in the world. Now it's known as a very unsafe, pretty unsafe country. It's not even believable. It's a whole different country, Sweden.
So if you listen to that whole thing, and there's a reason I played it just without stopping, you can hear the frustration, but also the point being hammered that Europe's not what we think it is. And that's one of the things Trump was communicating. It's changed. It's changed. It's not the same. They are almost at the point of no turning back. And that's a shot to Europe, basically telling them, you guys don't change. We'll be done with you. We will be America, and we don't need your influence anymore. We don't need to partner with you anymore. And did you see how he didn't say we wouldn't no longer be allies with them, but he didn't deny it either when she said that. Listen, this is a new world order that's happening. And it's not a new world order in the fact that, like George Bush said it, because we're not building the bridge to be partnered with everybody in a globalist fantasy one world government. No, the new world order is we're smashing it apart. We're not headed in that direction more. We're headed in the opposite direction. It's falling apart. They have been so weak over the last, since World War II, really, since they rebuilt Europe. They never got back to what they were in any way, shape, or form. They chose weakness, and they were able to do it because of the Marshall Plan, because we rebuilt Europe and Japan. Now, Japan, they basically just gave themselves a version of our Constitution and became a sovereign nation and built themselves up. And that's why they're thriving. I mean, they have debt issues for sure, but overall, Japan went from like this military empire to becoming a tech empire and an economic powerhouse. Europe got weaker and weaker. They just decided to live off of our generosity. And we became the engine, and they sucked and sucked and sucked and destroyed our middle class, and we just kept giving it to them. And that's what free trade did. That's what this whole globalism connections have done over time. And, excuse me. But that's what they did. And so they're about to find out what it's like when they don't have us anymore. But they thought they'd always have us. They thought they were going to pull us in more and more. And we were seeing that in the last few decades. We saw it. It started with, it happened with Nixon. It happened with Lyndon B. Johnson, Carter. Reagan kind of slowed it down a little bit, but not that much. It definitely happened a lot with Bush 1. Clinton accelerated. Bush 2 accelerated. And Obama was the worst. And until Trump. So it was just more and more we were becoming assimilated to just become another part of their state. I mean, look at what's going on in Canada. Canada is basically an EU member from afar. They don't act sovereign at all. They don't act like they're doing their own thing. I mean, everything, it's importing crazy amounts of Indians right now, which, by the way, what's India linked to? The British Empire. I mean, come on, you can't make this stuff up. They still have the queen on their money, the king. They still consider themselves part of the Commonwealth under English territory. I mean, it's crazy. These sovereign nations still consider themselves part of a Commonwealth with the UK. Australia, still part of that. I mean, you can't make this stuff up. It's crazy when it's staring us right in the face, and we've been ignoring it all the time. Well, the plan was to make us a part of that again. And Trump is ending it. So, but this is important because this is very strong language he's using. And this is, as far as I know, the first time where he's on record where the public can see it. And as far as I know, that those in DC are seeing that Trump's basically saying we're done with Europe. And think of the strength that has been in his words and JD Vance's words over the last year. I posted not too long ago JD Vance's speech to the European Union back in the early summer, just going after them for not having free speech and saying they're abandoning their values or what their values used to be. What did Trump say about the mayor here? He said his ideology is not what it should be. He didn't say it's not what it used to be. He said it's not what it should be. In other words, what Europe used to stand for, what we came from as Americans, the best parts of Europe that we brought with us to build this country and build a better country, a much better country. But he's got ideals that Europe used to have. Europe used to be a beautiful, amazing place, different from us, but still beautiful. and they're losing that fast, but it's all because this globalist agenda has just been spreading into all of them, and they have taken it sitting down, and that's why they've fallen apart. And I believe, honestly, one of the big reasons is World War II scared them, so they all just kind of went into submission mode. But the other thing is just the lack of faith, the secularism. The EU, Europe embraced that much quicker than America did. And I think there's a lot of reasons for that. I don't have time to get into it. But the point is that Trump has been hammering this. His speech at the United Nations, where he just lambasted them, just went after them. This has been building. And now he's saying that we might be at the point of no return. And what he means is cutting off our ties to Europe in significant ways. I mean, they're just not listening. You see Keir Starmer, his government is becoming full-on authoritarian against speech. It's happening in Germany. It's happening in France. And meanwhile, the immigrants are just coming in and ruining those countries more and more. They're letting them in unfettered. And Trump is holding up people like the media wants us to think are dictators like Viktor Orban in Hungary, who's actually got a very strong country, and he's running it very well. And they're basically calling him the Trump of that, which you know what that means. It means they think of him as like Hitler. They're so scared, guys, and you can see in how they're acting and how they're speaking. So anyways, Rumdog says, I think Obama's behind it all in the EU, especially after Trump won the election. If Franzi won, we'd be in the same boat. Well, I'm gonna I'm gonna like your comment, but disagree with you a little bit. Obama was never the leader. You understand? The leaders are behind the scenes. We don't know who the leaders are by name, but we know that they exist. It's the City of London types. It's the financiers. They're all economic giants. It's the crown. A lot of it is the crown. You know, they wanted us to all believe that the crown of England now is just symbolic. But no, there's still a lot of power behind the scenes in that crown. So, thanks, Queefer. My mic is good? Well, that's good. I'm glad my mic's good. Are you hearing too much? I got rodents over there. My kids' rodents. They get a little loud at night. So sorry if you're hearing that. But Obama's never been one of the leaders. Why do you think after Obama went out, you know, he's kind of the point man here in the U.S. for them. He's a point man and nothing else. He takes orders and distributes those orders, okay? He doesn't make decisions. Obama's not a decider in chief. He just runs the political aspect of it on the United States side. And you can tell because he runs off and he's vacationing all the time. And he's just living that glam life. That's not what the hardcore guys, that's not what they do. They barely show their faces. They're the ones living in mansions on huge estates, barely coming into town, running stuff through, phone calls and secret meetings. That's who really runs the show on all this stuff. That's who makes the ultimate decisions, and they're just passed down. And just like, I've shared a couple podcasts on this, really great deep dives into how all this works by some like insider types who don't know like everything, but they know a lot more than I do. And they talk about this, how these people they're not all powerful. They have their own infighting and civil wars, amongst each other, because they're all arrogant, they're all power hungry, and they all will eat their own in order to gain individually. But ultimately, they keep coming back together to take from us because that feeds all of them. But Obama's not one of them. He's not. Front man, exactly. He's a front man, but he's the Manchurian Candidate is what he is. He's the Manchurian Candidate. For anybody who's seen that movie, he was born and raised and bred to and groomed to be the perfect spokesman to come in and lead our nation and dupe our people into following and choosing our own demise. That's what he was brought here to be. That's what he was positioned to be. And he failed. He failed epically. He couldn't get them as far as they needed him to. So, all right, let me move through a couple more things here. That first part went much longer than I expected, and that's okay. But I'm going to show you guys some of the other stuff that's going on that has some connection to this. Patrick Byrne today coming out and saying he was a tier 1 intelligence asset for the CIA, helped setting up the Russia hoax under John Brennan. Pretty crazy. This is this series he put out called The Enemy Within.
My name is Patrick Byrne, domestic extremist threat number 1. Or not. I was starting to realize the feds were using Maria to smudge up the Republican Party. And they were using me to use.
So Byrne's going to tell his whole story, his whole side of of things. You know, it's tough right now because I really, really like Patrick Byrne. And there's so much about him I like. But there's also some things I just don't completely trust. Like why, if he's so important and was helping Trump so much, why was he not part of the administration even when he said he was going to be? I know he blamed on his health. That's fine. But now he's doing tours promoting his documentary. I don't know. Byrne, he's all over Alex Jones tonight. He's done some really good things for the markets, but then he's coming out and saying stuff like, he's a CIA operative. He has a confirmation letter. So I haven't seen this, but he's saying Rick Grinnell's compromised, Ratcliffe's compromised, Todd Blanche suppressing evidence, which all of that might be true. It all might be. Saying General Flynn knows everything on this. That all might be true. And he said a lot of things that have, I believe, turned out to be true, like what's going on in Venezuela. What I don't know is if he's doing some good stuff and using truths, but ultimately also promoting himself. I don't know. I mean, how many people while the president's in office, make documentaries about themselves being CIA spies and, making yourself look like a hero, but not actually on the front lines fighting. It's weird. It's weird. And maybe he's just an odd guy. He's lived his whole life, never married, done weird stuff. So I don't know. That's all I'm going to say. All I would say with this point is everything Patrick Byrne says. I would say trust it 65-75%, but carry a little bit of doubt just in case, because some of this doesn't smell right. But again, it's not so crazy that I can't believe it. But again, it's just odd. It's just odd. And I do wonder, with the General Flynn stuff too, it's like, why is General Flynn, if he's so important to the Trump stuff as has been brought up for the last 5 years, if he's so important to this, why is he not invited in the administration? I don't know. So again, it's just, I trust Trump first and foremost, and Trump's closest people the most, because there's a reason Trump kept them close, and is moving stuff forward with them. And then everybody on the outside, I would say, even the ones I like a lot, I don't trust 100%, without them really bringing the sauce. It's one thing to tell fantastical stories. It's another thing for it all to be proven true. So, again, this is interesting stuff. This is all over Alex Jones today. This is going to be big in the community, the hardcore MAGA types following Trump. This is going to be big news. The question I just have is, A, how much of it really matters, and B, how much of it is accurate. And I hope that it turns out to be true, because again, I like Patrick Byrne, and I just want to see where this goes before I get all excited about it. So just letting you guys know, maybe be a little careful. Byrne's been really huge on the scene since the 2020 election. He was one of those coming in, bringing evidence, saying that, he knows how it's all rigged and helping to fight. And then nothing happened with all that. And so again, interesting stuff. But the conspiracy types love him. They love him and they eat up everything he says. So I just, but again, just take it with a breath of, a spoonful of salt. Not a grain, a spoonful. But that doesn't mean he's a bad dude. It just means I don't trust it. But speaking of the election, and this is something that's interesting and why I wanted to also bring up Patrick Byrne, because of what's going on with Venezuela and Patrick Byrne, Emerald Robinson, a lot of the people sounding the fraud on the 2020 election are connecting a lot of dots here. Again, I don't know how many of them are actually there, but I will say that it's pretty obvious Venezuela is definitely tied to this, and then we get stuff like Trump saying this right here.
I think
think of it. If our election wasn't rigged, it was a rigged election. Now everyone knows it. It's going to come out over the next couple of months too, loud and clear, because we have all the information there. But if the election wasn't rigged and stolen,
so Trump's saying the election stuff's going to come out over the next couple months. That's really interesting to me because it's timed perfectly with what's going on in Venezuela. So the one of the theories is, and the beliefs is that going into Venezuela, there's a lot of stuff going on with Venezuela. So this is just part of it. There's ties to Russia, ties to China. It's the CIA hub for a lot of their operations in this hemisphere. It's a deep state hub, but also the election, anything to do with the election fraud and the machines is believed to have been centered in Venezuela. And so there could be a lot of information on that. Rumdog says, didn't Burns set up the Hillary bribes from Turkey? That's what he claims. Yeah. I haven't seen the evidence on that, but that is what he claims. And so, yeah, I mean, it's interesting stuff. I mean, the Patrick Burns stuff is very interesting. It's like listening to somebody tell a tale of like Mission Impossible. It's wild stuff. And it's very fun and interesting. And if it's true, it's one of the great stories of modern man in our day and age. But again, that alone is something that makes you say, how much of this can you back up? And again, he's done some amazing stuff. I mean, he beat the shorts with Overstock.com. He's a brilliant guy. He's very successful. He's been on the right side of a lot of things. So even if Burns not completely right about this, it doesn't mean he's never been right. And it doesn't mean, and so again, I like him. I want to believe it all. So there goes. Somebody's getting a drink. Can you hear that? Man, that's loud. I don't know what they're up to, why they're so loud tonight. Sorry, guys. I feel like Will Ferrell in Wedding Crashers. I never know what they're doing over there. What are they doing over there? Anyways, the election stuff's really getting a lot of attention right now. Mike Benz did this incredible deep dive, which this is 20 minutes long. I can't play it, but I highly recommend you watch it. Go to Promethean Action or go to Mike Benz's page. Watch his breakdown on the plot right here. The 5 months before the 2020 election, military intelligence, political elites secretly wargamed how to jail Trump and destroy his movement. Part of that was the election theft. Part of it was J6. So incredible stuff. Mike Benz's work is amazing. He always comes with the receipts, and that's why I love his work. He doesn't just make accusations or allegations. He backs it up. You see it as he's doing it. He goes through paperwork, logs, stuff on the internet. So Benz always backs it up. So I highly recommend checking this stuff out. It's excellent. And again, it's all tied to, before we can fully look forward, and we are moving forward in so many ways, but before we can go 100% forward, we have to fix the past. Because if you don't fix the past, you don't expose it all. I mean, imagine in the next few months, as the economy is improving, because those policies are starting to work, as all the foreign policy, the wars have died down. I wonder if they're out of water. He just won't stop. Poor thing. He's probably thirsty. I'll take care of you after the show, bro. Chill. Good Lord. But imagine if all that's improving and then we start getting the Epstein drip and it's mostly Democrats in there. People are going to be paying close attention. We get the drips of the Russiagate, that more and more being exposed, more indictments going out. And then we get the full story, the exposure of what happened in the 2020 election in January 6th. That, my friends, will completely turn the country onto Trump's side, and his approval could go up to 55, 60%. They'll be so done with Democrats at that point as more gets exposed. So all that can happen before the midterms. So buckle up. It's going to get wild. Okay. Couple other things. Trump did his rally. I think I might save some of the stuff on the rally for tomorrow because I'm already coming up to an hour, and it's not all super important. I just thought some of the stuff was interesting. I mean, here is, okay, let's play this. This is just fun. Here's him calling out Ilhan Omar as, as the ramping up of the immigration stuff's happening right now, especially with the Somalians.
Do we have any individuals from Somalia in the group? Please raise your hand.
Sorry, it's
That's
so quiet.
Minnesota.
This clip's quiet. Let me turn up the audio here. All right, let me get this up.
That's called the Great Big Minnesota Scam with one of the dumbest governors ever in history. I love this Ilhan Omar, whatever the hell her name is, with the little turban.
Little sheen.
I love her. She comes in, does nothing but bitch. She's always complaining. She comes from a country where, it's considered about the worst country in the world, right? They have no military, they have no nothing, they have no parliament. They don't know what the hell the word parliament means. They have nothing, they have no police. They police themselves, they kill each other all the time. I love it. She comes to our country, and she's always complaining about, the Constitution allows me to do this. We ought to get her the hell out. She married her brother in order to get in, right? She married her brother.
I'm telling you, this is campaign mode Trump. And this is the best Trump. If he goes full campaign mode Trump the next few months, watch out. It's the people are going to jump back on him quick. We got the interview, we got the rally. Somebody was mentioning maybe he's going to start the podcast circuit again. If Trump gets out there with the people and reminds everybody why we like him, because right now it's only the hardcore political junkies like me and you guys watching who are following all this. But if we get him back in the campaign seat out there, oh man, it's gonna get fun again. And then he dropped this little goodie for us.
Very much. They say I'm not allowed to run. I don't know what the hell that's all about, but that's okay. He said 4 more years. You see the new hat? We have 4 more years. 2020. We have all sorts of. Well, you know what? We have 3 years and 2 months to go. And you know what that is in Trump time? 3 years and 2 months is called eternity. We have a long time. We have a long time.
I love it. So good. Okay, a couple things here. Let's go through, and then I'm gonna end with the latest Candace Tim Pool stuff, which is fantastic. But DEA dropped numbers. This is awesome about fentanyl. DA called a jaw dropping with the fentanyl. 76% of pills strong enough to kill you on the spot, now down to 29%. So this is, for the first time in my life, a drug war that's actually working. Blowing up those boats is working. So that's huge win right there. Let's run through a couple quick things here. The independent commission, the Supreme Court just obliterated it yesterday. So this is ultimately probably going to turn out very good for the president. Kavanaugh said, independent agencies aren't accountable to the people. They're not elected, yet they're exercising massive power over liberty and billion-dollar industries. There it is. And him and Alito teamed up, shred the arguments. The Supreme Court, man, if they deliver on this and then the tariffs, it's going to accelerate quickly because this is going to open the door for Trump to fire so many people. I mean, they're basically handing him his full executive order rights back, which is our executive branch power back. So really good stuff. Just excited. More and more winning. We got a judge today granted the Trump and DOJ request to unseal files from Epstein, Ghislaine Maxwell sex trafficking case. So listen, the Trump administration was pursuing this. They signed to get it released. Now Trump's pursuing the judges with Pam Bondi's help, get them to unseal it. This is the second judge that has agreed to unseal Jeffrey Epstein stuff. So I expect a lot of that to drop really soon, which should be fun and juicy. And then we're going to get to, actually JD Vance had this exchange here real quick, but somebody actually shared this and said JD and Usha allegedly spotted him in a loud argument at a restaurant. And you see this picture of JD Vance and it looks like he's yelling at his wife. And JD Vance says, I always wear an undershirt when I go out in public to have a fight loudly with my wife. He's basically calling PS. This is so not real, but hilarious. But you can see they are just nonstop attacking Vance. They're so scared of him in the future. It does kind of look like him, but I wonder if this could either be just somebody that kind of looks like him, or it could be an AI generated image. Who knows? But it clearly wasn't JD Vance, and he makes it very obvious here, which I think is hilarious how he responded. Okay, you guys ready? I know you guys are. We're getting into the latest, and I'm going to finish with this because I just cannot wait till this ends. I'm so tired of it. But back to Candace Owens and Tim Pool. All right. Well, Candace made this allegation today after Tim Pool had a shooting at his compound on Friday night. And it's what's up, Justice T-Bone? Haven't seen you in a while. What's up, man? By the way, guys, if you're awake, why don't you hit up the chat? Just say hey, so I can see who's in here, and whatever else. Drop questions, comments, anything you guys want. But chat's a little dead tonight, which means you guys are either loving the show or you're bored out of your minds. So you guys let me know if I'm boring tonight. I apologize. It is just a Tuesday night and with the holiday season coming up. So maybe I'm off my game, but hit up the chat for a second. Let me know you're out there. And hey, if you're on X, please repost. And because, if nothing else, this is the saucy part of the show, the Candace stuff. This is the gossip part of the show, guys. You ready? This is where I go full Oprah for the next few minutes. But no, for real, I have to cover this stuff because it's important in the whole MAGA thing right now. And I do believe it's winding down. Thank God. So I won't have to cover this much longer, but we're going to go through it because until this whole nonsense Candace Owens campaign is over, and people see who they are for the grifters they are with Ian Carroll, Fuentes, all this. I just have to call, as long as they're causing damage, I have to call it out. So anyways, please like, subscribe, all that fun stuff, and I'll get going. All right, what's up? Nick Majors, R. Will, Joe Scarpaggia, Aaron Ambrose. What's up, man? Thank you guys. You guys are the best. And I know that you guys are nice enough to lie to me when I need it. So thank you. Thank you. just playing, not calling anybody a liar. But all right. So she brought this up. The shooting Tim Pool survived in December of 22, because this is the second or third shooting that's happened at his house, was committed by his brother. His brother was the one who fired the weapon on his property. Can't deny this fact. Well, Tim does deny it. Says this vile witch is now claiming my own brother tried to shoot me. It's an absolute lie. Candace is vile as they come. She's a bleeping demon. Tell us what you really think, Tim. And so it just keeps going, man. She goes out. I'm not going to play the clip. Well, maybe I should play the clip. Let's hear Candace in her own words.
He is a fundamentally weak man for what he did there. He should apologize. He won't. I don't care what happens to his platform. He's now essentially trying out because he's under financial pressure. He's trying out for a Zionist to pay him, and they will. Okay, they will cut him a check, and I hope it happens for you, Tim. I hope it makes you happy. But to do that to someone who has never done anything to you other than disagree with you about the Charlie Kirk narrative, I have not focused my content on you, and any time your name has come up, it has been because you have explicitly been attacking me. You are a coward. You are less than a man.
So, just the word calling Tim a coward when all he's doing is saying she's grifting. I mean, Candace, could you be any more thin-skinned? You're the biggest podcast in the world by your admission, which, by the way, she's not bigger than Rogan, but I think she means in the political sphere. So, biggest podcast in the political sphere, we'll give it to you for right now. And you're so thin-skinned that you're punching down because Tim Pool's way smaller than you. And it's Tim Pool's the kind of guy to lose $100K on a poker game, comes home and beats his wife and kids. Candace Owens is a word I'm not going to say. But again, I mean, this is just crazy stuff that she's doing. If you had the receipts, just provide them. Just provide them. I've done this 100 times, so I'm not going to keep going on that. But a lot of people were saying Tim lied. Some guy came out online and said he called the sheriff office, and the sheriff office said, well, there was no reports of a shooting. Well, it turns out he called the wrong sheriff office. Cam Higbee went to research it, verified, calling the correct police department. Tim Pool's house was shot at. The creator who said there was no record called the wrong station. And that's what started that whole fake narrative. So again, Tim Pool is vindicated. Again, I tell you guys all the time, Tim has earned my trust. So that's why I stick with him. Thank you, JC Cool. Appreciate it. Bolts fan, I appreciate you. Thank you. Mike Mishler, awesome. Good to see you guys. And the rat is back at the water. That poor thing. I could see it on my mic. That is loud. Dude. Shut up. I'm trying to talk here. It's funny. This is just an aside real quick. Last year, my daughters wanted new animals. And so we were like, no, listen, you've had hamster, didn't work out that well. We had guinea pigs, they were cute, but didn't love them. Had rabbits. That was disastrous. Just too much work. And they weren't fun. They'd escape, and it was a pain in the butt to get them back. And so we were like, well, I remembered when I was a kid, like my cousin had a rat. I was like, maybe we'll just get a couple of rats. They're like $10 each. It can't go wrong. We got them. We got one. Each girl got one. Each of the older girls got one. And so there's 3. Well, then we found out 2 were male and 1 was female. And we were like, well, we don't want to have babies. And they're supposedly they're social. So we needed to get, another girl rat. Well, then my wife took them out, and they come home with 2 girl rats. So I now have 5 rats in my office, and they're great. They're sweet. They're nice. I actually love them. I never thought I'd be a rat guy, but I am. But I have 5 freaking rats. And what you keep hearing is that rat has no water, and he's trying to get it. And I'm here talking, and he's like, bro, I'm dying over here. Give me some water. And I'm like, no, I'm going to finish my show, man. But anyways, feel bad for the rat. They're probably rotating just to try to get my attention. They're very smart. Anyways, that story was my story for no reason, and I hope you guys enjoyed it. All right, back to this. Okay, it's coming out more and more. It seems like everybody's turning on Candace, and this makes me very happy. I think that Tim started something. I'd like to think I started it because I was 2 weeks ahead of Tim, but whatever. Nobody watches me except for you guys who are the best. But, that no way Big watches me. It's, so, but all that said, it's starting to really backfire. And I'm so glad for this. And that, because one of 2 things is going to happen. Either the pressure is going to mount to the point where Candace finally reveals she actually has the goods, and we're all of our minds are blown, and we say, okay, well, why'd you screw it up so bad? Why did you do it the way you did it? Because it was idiotic. Why didn't you just give us all the receipts from the beginning? Okay, but at least you're right, and then we can all go back to peace. Or Candace is going to move on. because the heat's getting too much for her. It's going to start hurting her show. We're starting to see the backlash. Rich Barris called it. It's Tim Katz. You can see it on her face tonight. Candace looked exhausted from keeping up the grift. So I'm gonna let Tim explain what he's starting to notice. And let's see if we agree.
This is how insane it is right now with what Candace is doing. And the crazy thing to me is, well, you know what? I'm not going to say it's crazy. I was having a conversation with a prominent conservative personality. It'll be up to them to say if they want to, I was on the phone with them. They can mention it on their show if they want to talk about this, because I don't want to go into greater detail. But they were just saying she's burning out. I mean, it's one thing to talk about the Macrons in a way that can never be proven. Like, Bridget Macron is a man. What's Bridget Macron going to do? Like, drop trow on camera? Never going to happen. But she's gotten to the point where to one-up her narrative every day, it has to become increasingly crazier. So today, it's the U.S. military was involved. Yep. Like, sooner or later, this is the joke we made 10 minutes ago, sooner or later, it's going to go back to, like, Charlie Kirk traveled from the future to end his own, like some ridiculous, insane narrative.
Going next.
Literally now, because I criticized her, and she took issue with it, and then made up lies about me. She has tweeted, she put these in quotes. I want to make sure this is very clear to everybody. The shooting, in quotes, I guess technically you can call it a shooting, fine, even though I reported intruders came in and a staff member opened fire on them, that I, quote, survived. I never said that word. I never said it in this context. That is not a real quote. And if you want to
just defend himself now, he's absolutely right, though. It keeps going up a notch. You guys notice? And none of it's been proven. It was Egyptian planes following Erica. It was maybe the Trump administration was involved. It was France is coming to kill me, but Trump and the FBI know it. They're gonna tell us about it. It was and then it was the military's involved. The maroon shirts. It just keeps going up. Turning Point USA killed Charlie. I mean, it just keeps ramping up. And the reason is, and some of these words might not have come directly from her mouth, but they've all been insinuated by her. Where is she going next? I see what I love what he says, the time travel thing. But listen, look at this. I got to show you guys something, because this just popped up on my feed and I shared it, but I didn't pull it up for the live. But check this out. Finally, I'm so happy for this. This makes me so happy that Ian Carroll's getting caught up in the Candace wake. The people are starting to turn. Listen, how long have I been calling out Candace and Ian Carroll and Nick Fuentes and all these people? I mean, going back since the beginning of the summer, right? I mean, Candace was a little bit less. I only brought her up a little bit back then until it was the Charlie stuff that she got my attention. But these other guys been for months. I've been calling them out and going after them and just showing you guys what grifters they are. And as far as I knew, like, almost nobody else is talking about it, but it's starting to happen. I mean, PDB has a huge following, 300,000 followers. He's got a lot of influence on X, and calling out Ian Carroll. I mean, this makes me so happy. I know it's starting to end. And if anything else, like all the grifting, all this influencer nonsense, these bad actor influencers that might be feds or might just be out for themselves or might be MI6 or whatever. It doesn't matter. I mean, because, Candace has ties to MI6, but it doesn't matter. It's like, they're getting exposed. People are getting tired of it. And you know why? Because they haven't delivered any goods. Ian Carroll started by on TikTok talking about GameStop and like bad foods and the companies behind the foods, which was all true, but it was low-hanging fruit, not even conspiracy fruit. Like, it was stuff you could easily prove. And it was the stuff, but the conspiracy types eat it up. So he built himself a name using the easy stuff that he didn't do any of the work for. He was just using other people's work, building himself up, getting an audience, which I know his audience had to be bot-led a little bit, because there's no way he gets that big that fast using other people's work. I mean, gets on freaking Rogan, and then just spouts off about Israel controlling everything, which is just stupidity. So it's happening. We're starting to see the turning of the tide, and I'm just so happy to see it and know that I was ahead of the curve on this. So anyways, I don't know. I'm just really talking myself up tonight, I guess. Oh, I wanted to share this as well late. So Phoenix Ammunition, 185,000 followers, preferred ammo supplier of the military industrial complex. Big ammo dealer, arms dealer, is breaking it down. This is one of the things I keep getting every time I criticize Candace. Everybody's like, a 30-06 can't do that, bro. 30-06. It would have just peeled right through him, man. Well, this account, which obviously knows weapons and ammunition, is starting to break down how it's not an argument, because there's just not enough information out there. So it shows your calculations, the amount of force required to break a human bone, shows your calculations, the amount of energy at impact of 30-06, projectile of unknown weight and velocity, shows a diagram, blah, 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 blah. Just keeps going. It says you can't possibly reproduce an event without having access to all that information. You don't have any of it. Neither does Candace or any of the other idiots coming up with tests attempting to recreate these events. Simple as that. You and Candace prey upon the ignorance of the general public and little else. So there it is, guys. Basically, the 30-06 without any other information, it's just a memeable little. This is one of those things that's people use all the time to knock down theories, actual events, whatever, just to believe what they want to believe, because there might be one aspect of it that's a little unbelievable. But you know what? I could tell you 100 things in my lifetime that were unbelievable and didn't make sense, and yet they happened. Okay? Hundreds of things. I could do that. And that doesn't mean it didn't happen. And again, they make the perfect point, and this is from an ammunition. I wouldn't have just shared this if it wasn't from somebody who had obviously knew what they were talking about. But the point is like, just because it's unlikely, just because it's nearly impossible or improbable, doesn't mean it didn't happen. And so that's just going to be my response. I continually believe there's lots of questions about the Charlie Kirk stuff. I'm not supporting TPUSA, although I do think that I do trust them more than Candace. But I'm not on anybody's side in this except for Charlie Kirk's and the American people when it comes to his death. And I'm going to wait and see what happens in the court case with Tyler Robinson before I make before I go anywhere else as far as like deep diving conspiracy theories going on all this. But I will say that this is the one thing people keep bringing up to me every time I criticize Candace. What about 30-06, bro? 30-06. And I was like, I don't know. Okay. I don't know what I don't know. And this is the perfect explanation of that from somebody much more reputable about guns than myself. So, what's up, Foundation Preacher? Kim Wiley. Is one of the rats named Gary Gensler or Huster Pierce? No. Although that would have been great. I didn't get to name them. My girls named them. The three boys are named after the Friends guys. It's Ross, Joey, and Chandler. I can't even make this stuff up. This is being the father of girls, man. This is how it works sometimes. This is how it works. Queefer says my mic is actually good. Well, thank you. You know, this mic is a Blue Yeti mic, $105, I think, on Amazon. It's excellent mic. I've had it for 6 years now too. So a nan who say he doesn't lie is indeed a liar. A nan or a man? One love. What? Who are you saying said he didn't lie? Are you saying me? Anyways, all right, guys. This show went off the rails at the end. I'm all over the place. It must be getting late. But listen, guys, I love talking with you guys. I enjoy this. I hope you maybe learned some tonight. I hope you at least got aware of something. We are winning. We need to have some fun while we do it, right? We need to enjoy this. This is the Christmas season. It's the best time of the year. I love this season. It's a beautiful time. And you know, I don't know. I feel good today. Some feels different today. There's a shift in energy today. I can't exactly put my finger on it, but it just feels good. And I got to tell you, I'm always optimistic, and sometimes I have to convince myself why I'm optimistic. Not today. Today I feel it. Feels good. We are headed in the right direction. Things are turning around. There's going to be fights. But you know what I think part of it is? There's a lot of reasons for it. One is seeing Trump back on the offensive is always just brings a lot of joy to me. I mean, that's when Trump's having fun, it's fun. That's when he's winning the most. You can just tell. Because the grind part is one thing, but when he's with the people, that's where his superpower is. So that's part of it. And the other part is it does feel like there's been a turning point in all this PSYOP. I think the PSYOP fever has broken. That the one that started a month ago when I first called it out, and it just was ramping up, and it stayed at a high, and it was getting exhausting. And now I think the fever is broken, and we're starting to come out of that haze. And that means, guys, if the Trump administration survived that the way they did, and it's going to be off to the races after this, because they're going to have to build up something new to try to take hold. So we survived it. We got through it. It just shows you how strong the American people are at this point, how much more awake we are. Let's gonna have a lot more fun heading into the Christmas time and the New Year. I can tell you that right now. One Love says Trump's winning with the courts. It's a beautiful day. Amen. Amen. Hopefully we get that tariff decision early in the year. Couple other things, guys, real quick. Next tomorrow we'll probably see a rate cut. Probably be 25 basis points. I would be shocked if they hold, even though the data probably says they should. But the Trump says they shouldn't. They should cut because he's trying to juice the economy right now, and I'm going to just trust his lead on that. But that'll be interesting to see what happens with the stock markets. Still seeing great possibilities of a major correction here soon. There's a lot of things pointing to that, but we'll see if it actually happens. So anyways, tomorrow, Members Live. I hope you guys show up. I'm not quite sure what I'm going to talk about yet because there's a lot of things up in the air. But one thing that's happening is finger motions getting interesting. So I'll definitely have to talk about that in the Members Live tomorrow. But anyways, appreciate you guys. You're the best. I'll be back for a regular show Thursday, and I will definitely be off Friday and Saturday this week because it's my anniversary, and I'm going out of town with the missus and away from these rats. And I'm just going to have a good weekend up in the mountains. I'm taking her to the Biltmore house. I don't know if you guys have ever seen it, but it's beautiful. All right. Anyways, love you guys. Have a blessed night. What's this one? Love says Ilhan Omar married her brother to get him to the U.S. After divorcing her first husband, she divorced her brother now and remarried her husband. Ew. That's just nasty. That's nasty. Man bone, T-Bone, I wish I could say there'd be an MMTLP resolution. I just have no idea. No idea on that one. I have no feel for it. I haven't seen anything. So my hope is that, my hope and theory, my working theory is that if the market corrects, that's when Trump's going to use it as the opportunity to clean up the markets. So that would be probably your best chance for MMTLP resolution. So praying for that. Speaking of prayer, let's end in one. Heavenly Father, thank you for today. God bless this crew watching. God bless all of them. Be with them. Bless our president. Bless our nation. Just thank you for all you're doing, Lord. And just we continue to pray for expose all the frauds, expose all the evil, expose all the corruption. In Jesus' name, bring justice, peace, and prosperity to our nation and protect those fighting for us, including our president. In Jesus' name, amen. All right. Love you guys. Bless you. Have a great night. And members, I'll see you all tomorrow and everybody else Thursday night. Have a great night. Good night.